Hi everyone, this is Jason Burack of Wall Street from Main Street. I'm just going to do a short video today. I've wanted to do this one for a week or so, but since we had more new news today that's related to a video I was going to do last week, it was based on the Deutsche Bank settlements of the gold fix. So let me give you guys a quick update, and I'll combine it with this story that's today, and then I'll talk about a little bit of background to this as well. Okay, so there's been the gold and silver conspiracy theory about market manipulation for a long time. Those of you who've actually researched this know that the information is overwhelming, that there's been manipulation of all different types for a very, very long time. It started, with the London gold pool. Even a gold standard is manipulation of the gold price, although that doesn't, destroy the currency. But at least that's still technically manipulation because you're not allowing a free gold price. Anyway, there's been a London gold pool in the past during the 1960s where the United States and other countries in Europe joined with England and France to defend a specific gold price. They coughed up a lot of physical gold and lost. The gold price eventually took off. Well, the sophistication of the gold and silver manipulation increased more with paper futures contracts, became a fractional reserve bullion banking Ponzi scheme where there's a lot more futures contracts. The high-frequency trading algorithms allowed the manipulation to become even more complex and even easier and more pervasive. Now, we did have gold and silver take off for a long time. The algorithms and others did turn, and gold and silver price did go very quickly from 2009 to 2011 up a lot, but they also manipulated it back down in 2011 to stop it from going any further. There's a lot of manipulation with algorithms and rules changes. Anyways, that brings us back to today. Before today's news, Deutsche Bank had gotten caught. German regulators had gotten them, and they agreed that they had manipulated the London silver fix and London gold fix. They settled the London silver fix manipulation case for only $38 million. This was a couple months ago. They settled the London gold fix manipulation, I think last week or the week before, for about $60 million. So total, they only paid about $98 million, give or take, as of right now, in fines. Those of you who've been involved in the gold and silver markets for a while know that the bullion banks and other manipulators have made billions of dollars ripping off traders, mining companies, retail investors, manipulating gold and silver markets. So to only pay a really $98 million fine when there was billions of dollars in profits over the years for manipulating these markets, it's a small amount. However, Deutsche Bank, as condition for paying a smaller fine, also because Deutsche Bank is in financial problems. So if Deutsche Bank got hit with, another couple $1 billion fine, in addition to their mortgage-backed security fines, Deutsche Bank is in such financial problems that could potentially have bankrupted them even faster. Deutsche Bank is probably going to need a bailout at some point. So, hitting them with a smaller fine was probably all they could afford as of right now without another bailout, because they already have like a sort of Damocles, lots and lots of fines already hanging over their head for other fraud and manipulation cases ranging from mortgage-backed securities and others. They were fined, I believe, about $4 billion there. Remember Jim Cramer earlier in the year spread a rumor that they were going to be able to settle with the Department of Justice for less of a fine than the couple $1 billion because they couldn't afford that. So anyways, though, in exchange for a smaller amount of fine, they had to turn over more evidence. And I had on Craig Hemke just last week talking about this, and he said, there was going to be more evidence turned over. We didn't know exactly when, but now we're starting to get more evidence that's coming out. Even Reuters covered this. I'll put a link to this. Reuters actually covered this. So in court in New York yesterday, lawyers who are suing Deutsche Bank and others involved, there were 5 other banks, I believe, named in the gold and silver fix manipulation, and this manipulation is going to spread. They handed over smoking gun evidence. This is a zero hedge story, but Reuters also picked it up. And there is text messages and other transactions talking about coordinating manipulation. So coordinating a manipulation implies that this is a conspiracy. You're looking at other multiple charges besides just fines here. You're looking at potential RICO charges because there's collusion and conspiracy involved. So what we have now is, for years, a lot of people have been claiming, like I said, that gold and silver were manipulated. We just didn't have a lot of evidence per se. There was a lot of circumstantial stuff. Now a lot of the actual paper trail and evidence is starting to come to light. So people like Andrew Maguire, GATA, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, no one's been saying gold and silver have been manipulated basically longer than Ted Butler and the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, Bill Murphy, Chris Powell, those guys. They've done excellent work. They've stuck with it for, I think, over 2 decades now. So, it's just really funny. GATA ran a response article to this, and the CFTC and Justice Department said they couldn't find anything wrong. Well, the Justice Department, we know with the Hillary Clinton investigation, with the Hillary email server, and with the how the Clinton Foundation investigation has dragged its feet, that the Justice Department is extremely corrupt. Eric Holder had many scandals there. He was a Wall Street white shoe lawyer firm lawyer partner, and Loretta Lynch is also extremely corrupt as well. She met with Bill Clinton, in a private meeting on an airport tarmac. And the CFTC, Ted Butler, if you read his newsletters for years ago, he was actually way too optimistic that Gary Gensler would do a proper investigation into this. I think Bart Chilton did try to do somewhat of an investigation, but he was blocked along the way, and he didn't have that much power really in the CFTC to actually do a real investigation and come to a conclusion. Now Bart, though, Bart may not have been as honest and forthright as we thought he was, because now he's actually lobbying for high frequency trading guys. So maybe it was all an act where Bart Chilton just went on Financial Sense NewsHour and other programs and admitted that there was gold and silver manipulation to release some steam among the angry populace. But Gary Gensler, Ted Butler wrote in his news. I like Ted Butler. I've spoken with him a couple times in emails. But he was wrong about Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is a really corrupt guy. Former Goldman Sachs partner rose up. Gary Gensler was Hillary Clinton's campaign finance manager in her campaign. He was a CFTC guy. If you actually read Jim Rickards' new book, I just finished it recently, an audiobook. It's now out, called The Road to Ruin. He actually talks in there. He goes in depth for a couple hours during the book about the LTCM bailout story. Goldman Sachs was almost involved in doing a couple bailout deals with LTCM, and Gary Gensler was involved. And he looked through the books of LTCM before Goldman Sachs was agreeing or coming up with proposals for a potential bailout, either funding it or getting investors like George Soros or Warren Buffett on board, or Bill Gates on board. And Gary Gensler looked through LTCM's books at their trades, got inside information, closed out Goldman's positions, made extra money. So, I mean, he's, from these stories that Jim Rickards said and piecing these other things together, how he didn't do a real proper investigation with gold and silver. They claim that they spent over 5 years. This GATA article that I'm pointing to now with my mouse on the website says that the CFTC spent over 5 years and 7,000 enforcement hours, and they couldn't come to a conclusion. Yeah, right. They're just, what are those three monkeys? Hear no evil, see no evil, say no evil. Or the Upton Sinclair quote about don't expect a man to realize the truth when his salary depends on the opposite. So we have an enormous amount of corruption. We now have a lot more proof. There's going to be a lot more proof coming out, hopefully, from Deutsche Bank. So in exchange for them paying less of a fine, that could have potentially bankrupted them faster if they're going to end up bankrupt anyway. But hopefully they start handing over more than just, if you want to see the some of the evidence of traders colluding over when to start manipulating and how to blow out stops and take it down. These are going to lead, hopefully, to a lot more lawsuits. If I was a futures trader and I lost big on this trade, I would be looking for friends who lost big on this trade. I would be filing class actions based off this evidence. The mining companies in gold and silver need to grow a freaking backbone. They need to come up with a class action lawsuit, and they need to sue the pants off these guys that manipulated it, instead of being scared about talking about the manipulation because the bank companies hold their debt and can get them removed from the board of directors. There is now overwhelming actual physical evidence with the paper trail. They can't hide this shit like WikiLeaks and the fake news claims. Even Reuters is commenting on this now. So guys, the gold and silver conspiracy theory that the mainstream media has been calling it a conspiracy theory, we knew it wasn't just a conspiracy theory, has now turned into a conspiracy fact or a conspiracy reality. And, we had an enormous amount of overwhelming evidence throughout history, but now we have, physical documents. There's going to be more evidence coming out. Deutsche Bank, hopefully we will get the other banks who settle maybe for less money to rat on each other and release even more evidence. And any of these articles, like on King World News or anywhere else, that say, oh, silver, because of this, silver is going to be at $50 in a couple weeks. They're totally crazy. This does not mean, I'm not saying, it's definitely not going to happen. Silver's not going to be at $50 in a couple weeks. But news like this is going to help put in a stronger bottom in the market. People are going to, all over the globe, are going to pull out more physical metal. The mining companies are going to be more careful now, hopefully, at least for a couple years until they start doing bad deals or hedges again. The mining companies are going to be more careful. And, hopefully long term, this will eliminate a lot of the manipulation in gold and silver. The manipulators, the bullion banks, the central banks, the Bank of International Settlements, whoever the hell else is involved in manipulation of gold and silver, they're going to have to find other new creative ways to do it, to manipulate. Because we're now that we have more evidence about how they've been doing and how they've been coordinating, they're going to have to, go behind the scenes and look up new covert, sneaky ways, stealth ways in order to keep doing it. But, with the internet and us sharing information and paper trail, now that there's more ability to prevent this stuff. But the people in power have a lot of resources. Obviously, with a lot of fiat currencies trying to be intentionally devalued, there's a lot of governments that don't want gold and silver to rise. Look at the stupid policies that India is enacting and so many other governments trying to make it harder to buy physical gold and silver, how they tax it, etc., etc. So guys, that was just a summary for this, just summarizing a couple of current events. I'm glad that this information is coming to light. The CFTC, unfortunately, probably won't do much now, even though the proof is out there. Their legal definition of proof is so ridiculously high, and the banks still have a lot of lawyers. I'm still not sure the CFTC can do that much to them anymore. But I think it's just funny that GATA is making fun of the CFTC and the Justice Department for spending over 5 years researching something and saying it wasn't there when now we have people admitting it was. Okay, guys. Well, that's it. I have an interview with Danielle DiMartino Booth. I interviewed her a couple hours ago. Hopefully it will be up later today. And Eric Dubin and I are recording tomorrow a Welcome to Dystopia episode, and we will be talking more about this. Eric will we'll talk about his opinions. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Take care, and happy holidays to everyone. Hi, everyone. It's Jason Burack of Wall Street from Main Street. Thanks again for tuning into our podcast and for helping us get over 2 million views on our YouTube channel and over 10,000 iTunes downloads per month. We have a special offer for our Wall Street for Main Street listeners that has proven to be a good investment based on plenty of 5-star reviews from satisfied customers and independent fashion bloggers. Mo and I recently tried some shoes from a new company which is run by a family of third-generation shoemakers called Grant Stone Shoes. These are classic Goodyear Welt shoes using full-grain leathers from world-renowned tanneries. In a world filled with disposable products, it can be difficult to find items which can be used for years and later passed down to the next generation. Grant Stone is a smaller brand going direct to the consumer, which offers unprecedented value. Quality and fit is a cornerstone of their program, and the customer response and reviews confirm this. These are high-quality shoes at a good price for the busy professional who wants to improve their appearance at the office, in the boardroom, or out on the town with your girlfriend or wife. Or, if you're single like me, you know you will look good with these shoes on and maybe impress the ladies with your style and taste. But, if the ladies love Obama or Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders and hate free markets or capitalism or entrepreneurs, at least I will look and feel good in my comfy Grant Stone shoes. Mo and I have worked out a special offer for our listeners. So when you go to grantstoneshoes.com, enter the code GOLD, that's GOLD, for 10% off any purchase. That's grantstoneshoes.com and enter promo code GOLD.